Well, we are able to get our paltry little level boost box, our fourth one for reaching level 40. So why don't we just go ahead and grab that? What are you whales out there getting? You absolute dolphins. 5 per? 3 per? It must be nice. It must be nice. I wish I could get like you, my boy. But we'll go ahead and get our level 40 rewards here. Just a light smattering of currency there. And you can see we are level 40. Like I said, we just dinged it as of me getting up and getting on the game. So that is pretty cool, obviously. As for content, what was unlocked here? What has opened up? Oh, we can go in here and do the level 3 version of that. So that's pretty cool. I guess I could just let this run, honestly. I could let it run. I could let that event run while I talk about what I want to talk about, which is the Aizen art appearing on Toshiro's graphic for the stream coming up, and what I actually think it means for the game, because I guess, spoiler alert, I don't think it's Aizen. We are seeing a few people, and I just want to come here. Do I have any? No, I already got these. Okay. Yeah, I don't think it's Aizen. We've already seen a few, or we've seen a graphic of a datamine where Aizen is obviously, apparent on the actual graphic. So we know he's coming. But I do feel it's like one of those things where it's like, well, of course we know Aizen's coming, right? Like, he's an insanely hyped character. Most people come into this game wanting to summon for an Aizen. That's like saying most people go into a Dokkan battle like Dragon Ball game wanting to summon for Cell or Frieza or something, right? Like, he's the big boss, he's the big bad guy, and people like bad guys. So it does not surprise me. As for what I think it does mean that he's on that graphic, I would just say that if a lot of you remember, maybe you've watched the series more recently than some other people getting into the space, my assumption is just that, and actually I am just going to let this play, get a little content farming while I'm talking about this. My assumption is that all that's going to happen is that Aizen's gonna come out at some point related to something a little more hype than, a random drop 2 weeks after Toshiro, right? I really don't think that Aizen is going to just randomly show up for Christmas or anything. I don't think Christmas, to give an example, in Dokkan, what's happening right now. Oh, and this is not loading. One sec. I think it's a little switchy. One sec. So hopping back into it. Yeah, I don't think that Aizen's just going to show up randomly 2 weeks after Toshiro. I think that it would be a little bit of a mistake to launch that quickly. I guess you could say that, and this is just going to, like I said, this is going to get into really like data mining, leak, spoil talk. So if you want to be surprised, just click on this video. This is going to be the final warning before I get into this, because I tried to wait quite a bit to get to this point. I didn't talk about it the day it came out. So, I'm trying to sort of protect people's interest, trying to protect people's, surprise levels or hype levels. So I think it's fine to just mention, after saying like, spoiler and, trying to mention Aizen up top, because we assume Aizen will come, right? Like he's Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta, right? Like it's not surprising when Aizen shows up at some point in this game. But as I said, I do want to just like mention that this is something that I talk about a lot when I'm talking about Dokkan videos, which is that Dokkan works in cycles. They'll never just, sort of haphazardly drop these things. They want to play around lulls. That way they make the most money, and they also want to do things like tease, hype. That way people will, expectedly spend or dump their resources on, look at what auto well, look at what is she up to? What the hell? She just missed. This is being autoed, by the way, so, don't kill me. Yeah, I think they want to play around windows. It feels odd for them to drop Aizen now, because I think after they know Ichigo came up, and I even though Hitsugaya is pretty hype, he is a beloved character. There are other versions of him I think people like more. Specifically, maybe his 1000-year Blood War, you know, era look and things like that. So I don't know if he's as much of a seller as other characters will be. Would he really bait the hook and get people like blowing their wallets and then Aizen comes out? I don't know. Now, what we could talk about is the Kenpachi we know is coming at some point, at least, right? And now we can talk about like dates. What do dates mean in the course of like a gacha game? So in about 2 weeks, Dokkan will be getting what is considered its Christmas banner. And you might be thinking, well, Christmas isn't on like the 14th. And it's like, y'all share, right? But typically that's about when we can expect that to ding, that event to ding, because it runs up until Christmas then, and people have time to like spend or buy or whatever the case may be, right? It's kind of like when you play something like Call of Duty back in the day. Y'all remember that? Playing Call of Duty back in the day, and when the Christmas kids finally got their version of Call of Duty, the game was barbecue chicken. It was fresh meat. The lobbies became so much easier because a bunch of people bought Call of Duty for, you know, for Christmas, and suddenly there was like new blood. It wasn't just people who had been playing forever, and you would be dominating, right? So what could I see a Christmas, like in Dokkan terms, this would be considered like the Christmas carnival. So a character who is meant to sort of bait some resources, but definitely not a character who they would blow the blow the bag on because they know like hype is coming. So in Dokkan's case, the next three big events are the Christmas Carnival, right? The what is it? The New Year's like fest, and then Dokkan's anniversary. Obviously, then Bleach does not have an anniversary in January or end of January, early February, right? What Bleach does have is Golden Week coming up, which will be taking place around April, end of April. It would be very surprising if Bleach didn't do something for Golden Week, even though this game's developers are Chinese, right? It's still an IP that is founded in Japan, so it'd be kind of interesting if they sort of avoided that. I'd be surprised. I guess in global terms, they could just work around various global celebrations, but it just seems unlikely. I think that it makes more sense to release Toshiro, release Momo with him. I think his Momo was the one, right? They release Gin in this spot, and now we have Gin, Rengoku, and Toshiro as like the three characters coming in. Even though, you could say that like, well, we wouldn't want those characters all in the game because they don't go on each other's teams. What they would do is fill out teams, but also more importantly, what doing this does is give us a clear path to Aizen. Maybe he's more of the New Year's character. I just don't see him coming, next. Him coming next feels weird because that's not even the course of the story, right? So like, if you wanted to talk about characters, even though Aizen is important to Gi or Toshiro in his overall arc, I think he's the one that he says, I'm here to do violence to you. I feel like that is something that should be explored after Gin, after Rengoku, because Gin and Rengoku share a bit of a like space with Hitsugaya, right? I feel like he shares a bit of a space with Hitsugaya that makes a little more immediate sense, while also not using like, oh shit, it's like a month after Bleach Soul Resonance dropped. Let's do Aizen. Let's do Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta immediately. Does that make sense? Like, I think that another issue you could say that like with it being Aizen is that, I mean, I don't know about y'all, but it's really early into this gacha. If they drop Aizen now, and you want Aizen, you could literally reroll, and it would be your last chance to do it. But like, we're a little early on, where in the most innocent way possible, like, your account is not set unless you spent money, of course, right? If you spent money, then this is a completely different like conversation, and I wouldn't say that this holds up as well. But I will just say that like, accounts are going to start getting locked in soon, but they aren't yet. Like, and I think that's something they'd be aware of. It's kind of like how Vastalord, it is Vastalord Ichigo, right? That's that form. It's kind of like how he is a direct replacement, it seems like, for Bankai Ichigo, right? If you guys haven't seen the leaks, it's going to be, you know, Hollow Ichigo, or Vastalord Ichigo, Full Mask Ichigo, Kenpachi, Nellel, and Okiara all seem to be Slash. And up until this point, we don't really know what that means for content. Because in like Dokkan, let's say all these characters fill the same role, you know, in Dokkan. They're all the same color, they're all the same, you know, they're all big damage units. The thing about Dokkan is, well, maybe one of these characters can dodge and one of these characters doesn't dodge at all. So maybe that's like a limiting factor for an event, okay? Because of that, you could sort of use different ones based on the event typing. Maybe they take away dodge, things like that. In this case, we don't really know what that will look like yet. And because we don't know what that'll look like, we don't know why someone would have Bankai Ichigo and would also have, you know, Full Mask, you know, Vessel of Ichigo, right? We don't know why someone would have Kenpachi and then also have Bankai Ichigo. Other than like fun, obviously, you know, fun is fun. So it is just sort of one of those things where I'm curious as to what they will end up doing, just because I don't know yet what all we'll need these different colors for. And because we don't, and because we sort of know that the Hitsugaya team already works with Rukia, who is their tactics character. And even though it's not a 5-star, you know, SSR tactics character, she directly benefits the freeze mechanic, which Toshiro is using, right? So it's interesting. It is interesting. I want to talk about this, you know, use this as my like day 8 or whatever. I want to talk about this because obviously Aizen is a supremely hyped character, and I think a lot of people are going to get like really wound up thinking, oh my god, what if it's him? My personal preference, we haven't seen him yet, but I believe the Dr. Mayuri, the scientist character, he is listed as a strike character. And if he ends up being the strike support, I think that is much more important. If Grimjaw wants to come out and be like I don't know. If he wants to be like another, he has to be a DPS, right? He can't be a support, right? He can't be a support. So it'd be like Koname, it'd be Tauzen, Gin, and Rengiku. Yeah, probably. I don't know. I guess it's a rambling for today done. I just want to talk about this because I do think that we're going to start seeing people be like, oh my god, Aizen next, save. Don't get Hitsugaya Aizen next. And I just want to present the idea that it's not, mostly because the space for him doesn't seem right. There are so many characters that we know are made and done and like ready. And Okiara and Aizen and Kenpachi are going to be the characters they drop when it's time to get you spending. When suddenly the currency dries up a bit and you no longer have 200, you know, tickets and 9,000 stones, like your jade just like waiting around, that's when Aizen, that's when, you know, Okiara, that's when Kenpachi, that's when, you know, these characters show up. I would almost say that Soifan feels more likely as, I mean, it would be cool if they added Soifan as the support for Strike. I think that would be really nice. Then you could pair her with Yoriichi. I think that'd be a really cool team. But yeah, I would hope that one of the next characters to come out is a Strike support, unless the devs really don't think that Strike is the weakest element right now, because it is. That once Hitsugaya is out. Once Hitsugaya is out is what I mean. Because he should be better than every strike character. And the strike team gets Rukia. And they're going to get a new support. So, that's just my opinion. We'll have to see how it goes eventually. I'm just rambling at this point. So, like and like the video, subscribe to the club. We all go make it. And peace.